Hey everyone, thanks so much for letting me join you today. My name is Lauren Cole. I'm the coordinator of career services and I'm located over in Eldridge Hall. Although right now, since we're all working from home, I'm recording this video to share with you guys what we offer in career services. We still offer these services to all of our students, whether we're on campus or working from home, and want to tell you how we can specifically help you as an international student. But in many ways, our job search practices can apply to all of our students, whether they are on any type of a visa as an international student, or if it's our domestic students from here in the US. So I'm going to share my slides and my view of my computer where I'm going over to our website to walk you through some of those opportunities that we have for you guys. So if you'll go over to the website, then you can just go to the my.troy.edu and you're going to hover over the Students tab. And under there, you're going to see Career Services over on the left-hand side. This is really your jumping off point for all of the services that we offer in career services. And I'll show you the few that vary according to the type of student you are, and show you as an international student where you can drill down a little more specifically to you. But I want to give you the overview first so that you'll know what all we offer, how to schedule appointments with us, and how to begin utilizing our services. So the best way, like I said, is go into our website, so my.troy.edu/career-services, or just navigating there from the homepage. You're going to see right here a list of a lot of the resources that we offer. I'm going to scroll on down to cover a few specifics, and then we'll come back up to our job search database. It's called Handshake, and this other resource right here called Big Interview. So when we scroll down, the first thing you're going to see is a tab here for career exploration. So if you are in any way unsure of your major, you selected a major because it worked in your home country. I know you have to be careful sometimes about changing your major, so I would definitely want to make sure you talk to your advisor before you did that. But if you want to just see different types of jobs that are affiliated with different majors, even if you don't change yours, it might just be viewing, kind of exploring what all is out there for you in different career fields. Then this is where you could go, and this is just your starting point. So we offer career counseling appointments. We call it that, but really all it is just major and career help that we can provide you with. So this is just a jumping off point. We like to recommend to our students to take what we call Focus. You'll see that you have to have an access code. It's just Trojan, lowercase Trojan right here. When you click on Focus, I won't go into every detail here, but you would use your you would actually register for a new account. You would use that access code and put in use your Troy email address to create an account. And once you do this, you would jump in and it would give you some assessments. There are several of them. We really like you to focus on the interest, the values, the personality, and especially the work interest categories. And what Focus does is it shows us just kind of a snapshot. It's not every detail about who you are, but it gives us a snapshot of your personality, your values, your interest, and your skills. So instead of you having to explain all of that to us in person, after you take your Focus 2 assessment, you don't have to print it out. You don't have to send us a link or anything. We can go in from our accounts, pull up your name, and if in a career counseling session, then we can see, if you schedule one of those with us, we can see your results and we can talk through that. So this is very data-driven, research-driven. Focus is based on the Holland Code and some other research out there that you don't have to know about, but just know that it is very legitimate. It's been researched, and it helps us tell us a lot more about you and your background. So once you take Focus, then I would suggest you also jump on here and look at some other resources we have. We will do this in the office with you, or not even in the office, online. We're doing virtual appointments for career counseling as well. I'll show you how to schedule those a little bit later. But you can come down here and scroll on down. At the bottom of this page, you're going to see some very interesting links that even if you're not interested in changing your major in any way, then you still would want to use some of these resources. So the first one I'm actually going to jump over to is ONET right here. So ONET is a federal database. It's an extension of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So a federal agency that does a lot of research on job placement, on job databases, and it's going to have a ton of information that you would probably never even get to all of it. A couple of things to point out to you guys are right here in really probably the best way to get started is in this box right here. It's an occupation search. So if you're not exactly sure what different occupations do, then like this one that popped up, we're hearing a whole lot about healthcare right now, right? So if we want to look at jobs in healthcare, these are not job openings. This is research about jobs in healthcare. So maybe you're interested in some kind of social work. Then you'll see the first one listed up here is healthcare social workers, and it's designated as a bright outlook. You'll see on all healthcare occupations that there's pretty much a bright outlook for all of those. We know that's one of the largest growing sectors in the US and worldwide. So you can click on any one you like, and I want to walk through this with you a little bit. So it's going to give you a summary, a basic summary that's just going to give you some details about the job itself. You're going to also see a host of other titles that this job can go by. So that's interesting to know what you're looking at. You can click through details. You can look at tasks that are done, the skills you've got to have, and hot technology. So something you've got to have in type of technology you've got to have in that job. When you scroll on down, again, look at the different categories. So you've got knowledge, you've got skills, you've got abilities, you've got work context. These types of categories really need to line up to some degree with your results in focus. Does that make sense? So you took a test, told you your values, your interests, your personality, your skills. We call it your VIPs for short. Then you're looking at a variety of jobs that give you the VIPs for those jobs. Do most of them match for you for the type of career that you're going to pursue? So keep on scrolling down. One thing I like to point out is the education required. So you're going to know, hey, if I want to go into being a healthcare social worker, 92% of the time, I'm going to need to go on to graduate school and get a master's degree. You'll also see right here that, for example, they may require a master's degree and some require a PhD, an MD, or a JD. So sometimes, further information is required. So this is an interesting thing to see. And then you can also look, if you were to try to get a sponsorship or work under the H-1B, kind of however that works for you. If you wanted to stay here in the US, there are these little buttons that look like kind of a US American flag. There are links to jobs within Alabama and different states in the United States. So this would be a great place to look and see where you can find these credentials that you need within the US. The last thing I will point to you, actually two last things here. The related occupations, this just spend some time. If you're not exactly sure, and this does not this is applicable to domestic students in every way, as it might be for international students. But the related occupations, most students need to spend some time. diving into the different types of jobs that they can do with their majors. This is a great, great way to do that. And you're going to see varying levels of education required with the different occupations. And just different degrees of what you're going to do every day and what degree you need to get there. So this is a great place. And then lastly, again, as we talked about, local salary, local information in the U.S., in Alabama. It's going to give you median and minimum wages for different states, and you can just kind of see the annual salary. That is based upon when you click here, you can go in and get more information on the local Alabama state information. So I would encourage you, use ONET. This is a great way to research your occupations. And if you have an assignment for a class, this is a wonderful way to find out information about that. Right here, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's also a valuable resource that we discussed earlier, similar to ONET. So you can jump in there and use that. I also want to point out to you a career planning checklist. If you are not all 4 years with us at Troy, that's fine. You'll just kind of want to look and see where you are along this timeline. But we give recommendations for various years in school. So your first year to explore the careers, you're looking at ONET, you're taking focus, you're getting familiar with what we offer. Sophomore year, you're starting to think about internships, maybe after your sophomore year. And I know this can look different for you on different types of degree plans, different types of visas. So I know that, and you'll just need to see one of your advisors in the international programs. And then as we get up into our upperclassmen years, then we're starting to go to career fairs. We're making sure our resume is perfected. We may be considering taking some job search classes. And then finally, we are really making sure that if we're applying to graduate or professional schools, that all of our documents are in shape. If we need to do a personal statement and intent, that those are well developed. And then if you're just looking for a job, then let's start. We're saying trying to get 2 interviews per week. Once you are in at least your last semester of your senior year, that's very important. The more no's you get, I know that sounds negative, but the more no's you get, the faster it leads you to the yes and the acceptance, especially if there's an extra barrier sometime. And by barrier, I don't mean in a really negative way. I just mean that as an international student, if you have to be sponsored, if there is a requirement for someone to pay extra to hire you, then you have a little bit more of a barrier to get that job. So we want to make sure that we're applying for a lot of jobs. So, and we can help you along that way. I'm going to jump into a few more resources to show you how we do that. So our email address, I'll show you this later too, is troycareer@troy.edu. If you need some help, just want some hands-on help, reaching out to us, letting us review your resume, you can always email it to us there. So let's go back. That is our career exploration tab. So when we go back to the top of our page, actually, let me go back one more. Let's look also, when we're talking about our resume, I know many of you are familiar with that terminology. You actually might call it a CV for the most part. If you grew up in your home country where CVs are more common, then that for you is probably going to be a multi-page document. And I want you to realize that as an undergrad, a new undergraduate from a 4-year school, most of the time, the acceptable length of a resume is 1 page. That is very, very different than what a CV looks like internationally. So I just want to hit on that a little bit. So when you go back to our homepage and you scroll down, this tab right here, the resumes and cover letter tab, that is going to give you a very basic formatting. We've got a formatting and tips link. This is telling you some information. You scroll down, resume formatting and tips. This is where, just in a nutshell, you can see what we tend to recommend for your resume as a traditional aged undergraduate student. Once you get into graduate school, or if you're applying to graduate school, I understand that you may develop, yours might turn into more of a CV, and it may be 2 pages. But just so you know, they're much shorter in the US. You will not see a photograph on US resumes. That's typically different than a lot of international countries. So no photograph and no real personal information. You're really not telling us your hobbies. You're not telling us anything about marital status, any real personal information. It's just all very professional, and you're trying to summarize and be as concise as possible. So you want to use descriptive adjectives on your resume to get as much said in the least amount of words. If you don't have a lot of experience, then try to draw from leadership opportunities on campus. If you've been involved in ISCO or any of your home country's organizations on campus, try now, if you haven't, to get involved so that you have something to put on your resume, and volunteer for different projects. You don't necessarily have to be the president of the organization. It's great if you are. But if you're not, volunteer for some community service activities. There is the Office of Civic Engagement on campus. It's in Eldridge Hall. They also have are available through their website that you can get involved in community service activities in Troy, where you can give up your time and help others so that you can put that on your resume. So you're going to have different categories on your resume than maybe this example here shows, but please read through this so that you can go through your own resume or CV and get it somewhat similar to this one. And then you're welcome to email that to us and we will review it for you and let you know. And just keep in mind what we said about length. That tends to be the number one struggle that students have, and your references are actually on a separate sheet, so you don't have to save room for that. So that's our resume formatting and tips. You will see other resources here on our homepage that I would really encourage you to check out. If you actually do get offered an interview, then we have several resources. First of all, click on the interviewing tab here, read through this. We've got some really, really great, this is a very simple, especially the second one, top 10 job interviewing questions that we like. So you can actually go and do this on your own time. I may show you the first few seconds of it here, but it's called...
To fly a rocket ship, you need to be an optimist. No astronaut. And introducing one half of the interview, guys, Mike! And the other half of the interview, guys, Jeff!
You're going to be faced with the most, so you definitely need to know how to answer them properly.
So let's get started with question number one. The number one interview question that's most commonly asked is, tell me about yourself.
Okay, so for example, these are the top 10 interview questions. If you register for an appointment for a mock interview with me, this is probably the primary questions we're going to go through. They're the top 10 interview questions. You know you're going to get asked when you first come in and introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Though that's not exactly a question, you're going to want to have, we call it an elevator speech. So it is a rehearsed, probably 30-second to 1 minute professional summary of yourself. So you're not restating your whole resume. You want to drop in something kind of interesting about yourself, but you've got to be able to, right out of the gate, speak to why you're there, why you're interested in the job, and why you. Those are a lot of the questions that I would want you to look through this first to familiarize yourself with the top 10 interview questions. And then I'm also going to show you another place that you can do some practicing on your own, as well as possibly make a mock interview appointment with me. So go through these links here, these interviewing do's and don'ts. We even have what to wear tips. This is a very, very simple list. I can help you further if you need that. And I want to show you something else before we talk about big interview. We have some tips on phone and virtual interviews. So as we are all online right now and not in the classroom, we've probably run across this, that we have to be very cognizant of what is behind us when we are filming, if we're giving a class or part of a class. But above and beyond that, it's really important for interviews. So if you have a virtual, if it's a Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, any of those resources that's a virtual interview, then you've got to make sure that what is behind you looks professional. And other things that matter are phone interviews. You've got to have a good signal. You've got to be in a very quiet location where no one is going to walk in and be very loud. So just read through these tips. You might even have a part of an interview that the whole interview is over lunch or dinner, or that is a part of the day where you're spending with them. It is so important that you understand etiquette about, especially if it's any different in the US, that can be common than maybe your home country. Then you want to read through this and be very familiar with the etiquette of an interview, or even if it's not the official interview, if you are out to eat with an employer, there are some things you've got to keep in mind about not ordering messy food, not ordering an alcoholic beverage, unless they, I don't know, that's a tricky one. If they really say, yes, sure, then just have one. But most of the time we recommend you not do that at all. So that's some good stuff right there. But I do want to tell you about big interviews. So there's a link here, and there's also one on our homepage. And Big Interview actually gives you the opportunity to do a mock interview yourself. It records you, and you can actually send the whole interview to anybody you like, including the Career Center. If you want to email it to us at that same troycareer@troy.edu and ask us to review it for you, we're happy to do that. You may even have some of your professors in your classes that assign this. So you may see this again, but when you click on here, you're actually going to register an account. So once you do that, I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that at this time. But once you do that, you use your Troy email. You just make up a password, and once you get logged in, then you're actually going to be able to record those interviews. Okay. And something to note, there are different interviews by major, and there are different levels of difficulty of interviews. So start out with the easy ones, start out with just top 10 interview questions. Maybe you've watched that video and you've rehearsed those some, and then try to go a little harder and do a little more specific to your major. It's really, really good practice. Most people aren't necessarily bad at interviews, they just haven't practiced. It's not a natural skill. It's a learned skill. So you need to take time to practice. Okay. So when we hop back over to our homepage, then other resources here you're going to see are networking and social media. I'm going to briefly touch on that here. Networking is a huge topic, but networking is why 75% of people actually get a job. So I'm going to say that again. 75% of people attain a job because of networking. Sure, 25% of the time a person can find a job by just applying online, but it is not the majority. So networking is not only about who your parents are, where you're born. It doesn't matter that you're in another country, but you have to really start spending some time building your own network. So as you are elevating through the years in your major, you need to start joining organizations, especially those that are in your major, and especially if they're a branch of a national organization. If you can go to conferences or do presentations or do research, get to know professors, get to know faculty, get to know people in your industry, that is networking. And then once you start really seriously looking for an internship or a job, then you need to be getting your resume out in people's hands as much as possible. So networking, if you'll think about it, I like to think about it like a bullseye. So you're going to start kind of in the center. I'll show you guys, like close family, even if they're here in the US or not, and friends. And then you want to try to get your resume in like friends of friends' hands. And that might be people from your home country that have graduated from Troy, or alumni that you got to know while you were here. Or maybe they're friends of friends of friends of friends. Think about the bullseye. that you're getting your resume in their hands, especially if they are already working in the location or the industry or at the company that you're interested in. So finding a job is like a full-time job. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't just fall into your lap. So that's what networking does for you. You are much more likely to get an interview if you have someone recommending you than just by applying online. And then in the interview, you have to earn the job. It's not doing it for you. It's just giving you the opportunity to get in front of the employer most of the time, because there are so many people out there that are looking for those opportunities. So next, I would ask you guys if you want to go over and click on the International Students tab. Then when you go there, you're going to just see some extra resources, some just tips that we give you guys, but this is really where your advisors in international programs are going to be the experts. So they are going to be able to walk you through things with OPT, CPT. If you don't know what that is, then you want to go to them because you're going to need the approval by government visa to work in the US, even if it's for an internship or extended practice in your major. So check that out. And then the last few things that I want to mention to you guys is when I scroll back up, then we talked a little bit about jobs, or I mentioned Handshake before, and here's another link to Big Interview. I mentioned Handshake before. So when we click on Handshake, the great thing about Handshake for us, and let me tell you a little bit about what Handshake actually is. So this is our jobs and internship database. So we actually purchased this for our students at Troy. It has employers already in the system. Many of them we have relationships with because they come to our career fairs or they post jobs and internships with us often. And this is where you can actually go ahead and log in. The beauty of it is you don't have to create a new password. You just click on this blue button right here for Troy students, and you use your Troy Web Express, Trojan Pass, we call it, Troy email and password that you use for everything else. You use that for Handshake to log in. So when you get in there, if it's the first time that you've ever logged in, then you're actually going to have the opportunity to complete your profile, and that is going to let you tailor the jobs and the internships that pop up to you a little bit more. So you're going to be able to see here that this is the home page, and you're gonna looking for jobs, then you're gonna click on the jobs tab right here, and you can put in a keyword there for whatever it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for your major, if you're looking for a location, if you're looking for an internship as opposed to a job, then you're going to want to type it in the keyword right there. If we go back to the home page, there you will also see just employers. Maybe they don't have a current job or internship posting that's live in Handshake, but you know you want to move to a specific city in the US. These are mainly US employers, I will say that. If you want to search by employers, then you can look by who you're interested in. I tell students all the time, Handshake is not the end all be all. It's not going to get you the job, but it's just a resource where we have direct relationships with employers, and it's a starting point. So you can email us at Troy Career or stop by if we happen to be back on campus at that point and let us know where you're interested in locating to and what employers are there that you would like to work for. So we can reach out to these employers, to their HR offices, and ask them, hey, you know, we have a student that we would like to recommend. Here's their resume if we've worked with you on your resume, and do you have any opportunities? Often we can get in touch with employers faster and more efficiently than a student would on their own. So that's our employers and our jobs. And the last couple things I want to point out to you is when you go to you will see events. Right now, we don't have our career fairs posted anymore. sadly, since the virus, but we do have some virtual events that we're starting to roll out, and you will see that based on major, and then you'll also see some that are hosted by large employers. There's been one in there for Google in the last couple of months. So that's been the beauty of Handshake for us in a more rural area, is access to some of the larger employers. And then the Career Center here. So we want you guys to know that we are available just as we would have been if we were on campus. You can book an appointment with us virtually. So when you click on appointments, schedule a new appointment. You're going to choose Troy campus probably, or wherever your affiliated campus is. This is going to show you a list of appointments here that you can take advantage of. So if you want to do a mock interview with me and you want to do that virtually, then you would register here. If you just want to talk through, hey, my major, what jobs are affiliated with that? It might be job search information. It might be career counseling. So that is going to be where you can do that and schedule appointments. So Handshake is your first stop for job and internship searching and creating an appointment with us in the Career Center. And then the last thing I'll show you is the importance of following our social media accounts. If you have social media, that is where we put our most updated, we're doing some fun stuff on there, but we're also showing our most updated information. So we're on all the social media channels. I'll just show you our Instagram. When you click on that, we've got some student success stories. So if you get an internship or a job by coming to a career fair or by using Handshake or using our services, we would love to connect with you on that. And that way we can focus you or focus a video on you on our social media accounts. So follow us, Troy U Career, on Instagram. You're going to find all of our different social media accounts here. So we're going to have a variety of information on there. So I hope this helped you guys. Of course, again, as I said, this is your jumping off point, is our website. So we're here to help you. Reach out to us in any way. Our contact information is on our website. If it pulls back up under the Troy campus, you're going to see all of our direct information. Myself, I'm the coordinator, my career counselor, and all of us that are in our office here. So under Troy Campus Career Services, that's going to show you under Contact Us all of our information. So we're happy to help you in any way we can. If you have any questions, you can ask your instructors, and then you can also reach out to us directly at this information here. Thanks so much for your time.